Okay guys, Chris here. I'm going to show you how to set up a Spektrum radio on a Flybrarless unit today. I'm setting up somebody's helicopter, so we're going to use their DX8. It's a Gen 2, but all the newer Spektrums pretty much work the same way, and even the older ones, most of this will relate also. Okay, it's going to come up on the main screen. You have two ways to get to the advanced menu. Push both these buttons and it will bring up the models. You can say add new model, or you can push the scroll button, go all the way down, system setup. It's telling you that it's going to disable the receiver, so make sure you don't have a helicopter plugged in or airplane. So we're going to say yes. We select a model name. You can go in and name the model however you want. As you push the button, it will scroll through all the letters and the numbers. We're going to go back though because I have already named this, and it is going to be, well, it did not save it, so we're going to add a new one. We are going to make a new one, and we are going to name it, this is a T-Rex 500 DFC. Just so I can remember, I'll go back in and fix this in a little bit. So I'm just going to name it TR Heli so we don't waste a bunch of time, and then I'll go in and fix it later. Okay, the model type, it's a helicopter. Yes. And the Swash type. Now, the trick on Swash type is almost all the helicopters now are going to be 120 degree 3 servos. What that means is your Swash plate is going to have an elevator, aileron, and your pitch. That's 120 degrees. Now, it can also be, 3 servos and be 135 degrees, 140 degrees, different things. But what we're going to do, because the Flybrarless unit is going to take care of all the mixing of the servos and everything else in the radio, we want to set this at normal, which means 1 servo 90 degrees if you have a different kind of radio. And it's saying that there's only 1 servo even though there are 3. And we're going to say next. Helicopter, you can put a picture in there if you want. We're not going to do that. Then we're going to go into F mode. What F mode means is that you actually have a switch right here, 3-position switch. That's going to be your F mode, flight modes. And as you can see on the screen, as I switch it, it's switching from normal to 1 to 2. Now, the next thing I want to do is go down, and you will see hold switch is inhibited. If I push the button, anytime it's flashing, I can make changes. The very back button on the other side is your hold switch. So if I flip that switch, it automatically assigns it to that. So see, now it's telling me it's in normal, it's in hold. That will kill the engine anytime. Alright, so we're done with that. We're going to go down. We don't need anything else in the advanced menu except bind, which we're going to do at the end. So we're going to go back to the main screen. Now, so this would be the model. It would say whatever you named it. We want to go into the throttle curve. Now, this is called a linear curve. It's a straight, as you give throttle or collective on a helicopter, it's going to just move. Now, the problem with that is that means your motor will go from 0, not moving at all, and at the top of the stick, it will be at 100%. Well, you don't want that because you want the motor to stay constant and the blades will drive the helicopter based on the pitch of the blade. So what you want to do in normal mode, which is going to be what you take off in, and you can fly around in it, whatever, you want that first number as you're beginning to be 0. If you're using governor or something like that, I have mine set up when I flip throttle hold off, it automatically spools up. But for most people, put that first number at 0, and then all the rest of these numbers you really want to set the same. We're going to say 70% of the motor speed in normal. So I set all these for 70. Now, because the motor is going to already be running now at this point, if we flip into any other moves, now that same flight mode switch, this is saying when I put it into idle up 1 on the flight mode switch, it's going to be, again, a linear curve. We don't want that. And normal was at 70% of the total speed of the motor. So we're going to put it at, say, 80%. So it's a little more powerful for sport flying, flying around, doing flips, doing stunts, whatever you want. Just to give your head speed a little bit more and stabilize the helicopter a little more. So we put all those at 80%. Now the motor's not going to change speeds as I move the collective, the throttle stick, up and down. As you see the line moving from the numbers, it's going to stay the same. It's going to be 80% of the throttle. Now, so then we've done that. Idle up 2. If your radio only has 1, then that's it. But if you have 2 different or 3 different modes, so we've got one set at 70, one at 80, and this one we're going to set all the way across at 90. We're going to leave a little room for so the motor's not running at 100% output. That way when you're giving hard collective movements with the stick, there's still room for the engine. It's not running at 100%. And you could, if you wanted to, say you were somebody who was going to do some 3D and you weren't going to run a governor, you were going to run a straight curve. What you could do, because this is 0 pitch in the blades pretty much at the center stick. This is going to be around hovering, maybe a little more, going up, and this is going to be hovering inverted, upside down, maybe a little more. So you could take this, and to make sure when you gave full movements to the top and the bottom, you could actually ramp this up a little bit. We're going to say 93 and say 96. So what that's going to do is the motor won't, even if you change the pitch drastically in a hard maneuver, it's going to kind of give some extra power as you get towards the end, and it'll keep the motor more consistent. So once you have the throttle curve, you want to go to the pitch curve. Now the pitch curve is different because, as you see, it's a linear curve. So that's going to move the pitch the same amount as you move the stick. Anything below the midpoint is negative pitch for flying upside down or bringing the helicopter down quick. Anything above 50% is positive pitch. Now, if you know, the way I set up a lot of people in the beginning, if they're just learning to fly, you're used to flying a fixed pitch helicopter, whatever, you're used to being able to just drop that collective stick, your throttle stick, all the way down. Well, if you do that and you have this set up as a linear curve, if you have 12 degrees pitch at the top, well, now you have 12 degrees negative pitch. So if you bring that stick all the way down, you're going to just drive the helicopter in the ground because it's going to actually gain speed as you bring it down. So what you can do is you can take these first, because remember 50% is 0 pitch. That's the middle of the stick. So you could say just for, you know, because you want to be able to get a little bit. If you're up too high and you want to bring it down, if you have no negative pitch, it's going to take forever to get the helicopter down. So we're going to give it a little bit, and we're going to set this at like 40 and say 45. Now, if you look at this curve, what that's done is you still have all your pitch here, but now you have very little negative pitch. So if you get nervous and pull that stick down, it's not going to drive the helicopter in the ground. But then what you can do is on your pitch curves for 1, you can leave them linear. This way you have the same amount of negative as you do positive, and the same in 2. And really, guys, that's all you're going to do before you set up the Flybrarless unit. Depending on the Flybrarless unit, your gyro, it's going to kind of tell you what to do. You can set it for on, and then the percent, anything below 0 is non-heading hold. That's a mechanical setup. The gyro is not going to do any work. Anything above 0, the gyro is doing work. The higher the number, the more the gyro is going to try to lock the tail in position. And the reason I'm not going to go into that is because each Flybrarless unit is kind of different. They tell you to set it at a specific thing. They give you an idea of where to start. And you can also, if you want, go down to switches on. You could put it on flight mode, which now that switch that's changing your head speed and your pitch will also change how much gain is in the tail. So as you get more head speed, you could use less gain if you wanted. But we'll go over that in the different Flybrarless videos. Governor, again, we'll do that later. So that's the only thing. Now you also have dual rate and expo. Again, most Flybrarless units are going to set this for you based on the software. If you are using the BeastX, you can, well, on any of them, you can turn it off and use the radio. Again, you see the linear curve where as you move the sticks, it's going to move the helicopter the same amount no matter where you move the stick. It's going to move all the way through the stick the same speed. You can take, and we're on aileron now, so that's going to be your back and forth on the right stick. So you could say, as I go up on expo, watch that straight line. So what happens now is almost halfway out on the stick, I have almost no movement at all. But then the last half of the stick, I have a ton of movement. And that's what your expo is going to do. But if you go too high on the expo, it just really, it's not going to help you. You need to fly the least amount of expo you can, yet still have control of the helicopter. And that's it for the radio, guys. The rest is going to be done in the Flybrarless unit. And your Flybrarless unit will not be set up 1 servo 90 like you did in the radio, because it's doing all the work. So it will be set up as your manual for your helicopter tells you. In this case, this is a 120 degree 3 servo swash. So you would set in the Flybrarless unit 123 servo, which means it's doing the work of the transmitter, and it's telling the transmitter as you move it that it's actually 120. Thanks, guys. Hope this helps you out. By all means, check out some other videos if you need some help. Also some great resources on the internet. You've got RC Heli Hangout on Facebook. You've also got CP Helis on Facebook. Both really good sites. There's also a good forum on a web page forum called rchelihangout.com. Check them all out. Appreciate your time. Thanks, guys.